Fairy and Folk Tales. Story 2. The Little Mermaid. Poem 2. Witnessing Manfolk. When Serena turned 16, she swam as fast as she could up to the surface to see the manfolk, that they might be understood. And when her head broke through the surface, what do you think she saw? A vessel floating on the surface, as long as a sea monster was tall. She marveled at its colored masts of purple and of gold, and the little school of white things that floated around the vessel, bold. They shrieked and called discordant songs as they scavenged for a meal. Serena then thought to herself, how can this all be real? She swam a fair bit closer, keeping out of sight. She didn't want to stir up a storm, or cause the manfolk fright. And as she did, she heard a voice cutting through the waves. It was the sound of and he was heaping out praise. Prince Silas drew closer to the burning building. As it swayed and almost collapsed, he heard the screams of the little ones trapped inside the black. He pushed through the smoke, the flame and the heat, and braved it all despite knowing he might die any moment. Yet he didn't lose the fight. He saved 5 children, all the ones who were trapped there in that house, selflessly braving the fire of Hephaestus and the danger all about. And it is my pleasure to present to you, before you all have fits, the heroic prince of our country, the Honorable Prince Silas. The people clapped and the prince stepped out. Serena was amazed. Hearing stories of the man's bravery made it hard to move her gaze. The people sang a simple song, and Serena joined right in. She wished she hadn't soon after, as the air began to spin. Water spouts, whirlpools, maelstroms, rain, and more. Lightning raged, thunder roared, and the manfolk were shook to the core. They all scrambled fast to steady their ship before they were overcome. But Prince Silas was swept from the deck, and Serena's tail went numb. She dived below the ship straight to the prince's floating form, and she held him just above the water. In the ever-increasing storm, her tail screamed in pain and effort as she pushed the extra weight. But she had to save this one who'd saved lives. No mind to the pain that was great. She dragged and dragged with all her might, until she reached dry land. Her skin and scales cried out on contact with the still hot sand. She beached herself for a moment, and stared down at his face. His eyes began to flutter open, and she left without a trace. She swam back down to the sea below, wishing she could stay above. She wondered at the feelings she felt. Could this all be? Author's note: thank you for listening. Please share these stories with your friends. It is my hope that these stories will feed your hunger for fiction and fellowship, and through them, I can feed my family. Visit joshuadavidling.com for more info. God bless, story warriors.